Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are test driving a 2024 Toyota Camry SE Hybrid. And this is the last year for this body style of Camry. There is a new one in the works, so this will probably only be the quote-unquote new Camry for the next maybe 6 or 7 months or so. But I must say that the next Camry certainly has its work cut out for it, because this car's no slouch when it comes to driving pleasure, at least as far as Camry hybrids are concerned. So like I said, this is the SE Camry hybrid, which means it does have the sport tuned suspension, and it does have the strut tower brace to stiffen up the chassis and improve the handling a little bit, and it works. I've driven a standard Camry SE and now driving this hybrid Camry SE. This car drives much better than you would expect a Toyota Camry to drive. Does it have the best dynamics in the class? Probably not, but it's nowhere near the worst either, and it's a lively little car to drive. It's interesting. You have good weight to the steering wheel. It's very accurate. The body motions are well controlled. You get into a Camry from, 15 years ago, and it's almost like a lesson in, what are body motions? Well, this is body roll, and this is nosedive, and this is you could just feel all the body motions. The chassis were so poorly controlled on those cars, and in this one, this just isn't the case. So if the new Camry is going to be better than this, it's going to be fantastic. But if you need a car right now, and you are considering the 2024 model Camry hybrid, at least for the SE, if you're looking for a car that's halfway entertaining to drive and you want all of the other Toyota benefits as far as longevity, resale value, practicality, etc., hey, this is a great choice, and it's a very nice car. Some of the equipment features, show their age. I don't have a digital dashboard in this model. I don't have wireless Apple CarPlay. I think the MSRP on this one is like 31 or 32. So you can get those features if you move up to higher trim levels. But, in some ways, compared to some other new cars that I drive, this one does feel relatively basic. But the equipment that is here works very well, and it is an older design at this point, but the benefit of that, or the trade-off, is the technology in it's a little older, but for most auto manufacturers, the last year of any given production run is the right one to buy because they've got all the kinks worked out of it. And Toyota is better than most at working the kinks out, even of brand new designs. But, if you buy the last year of a model run of a Toyota, you can probably expect it to be pretty bulletproof for its life, as long as you do the maintenance. I mean, maintenance is always something that plays into reliability on vehicles, and Toyotas are no different. I think they're a little bit less sensitive to maintenance than certain other brands, but you still need to do your oil changes and coolant flushes and brake fluid flushes and spark plugs and whatever else at the time that is dictated by the factory. And if you do that, you should have a very long and enjoyable relationship with your Camry SE hybrid. Do a little bit of a refinement check here. That's around 60 on a decent road, so you do get a little bit of tire noise, but the wind noise is relatively well controlled. It is a CVT transmission when you get a hybrid Camry. Personally, I don't have a problem with that. Some people really hate CVT transmissions on the internet. I don't. I think they're fine, and I think that for most people who buy them, they do the job that those people needed to do. And they don't really know what kind of transmission's in it, because all they know is they put it in drive and it goes. You do have paddle shifters. If you put it in sport mode, you can run it through some fake gears with the paddle shifters. And you can also mess with the shifter to change gear. But for the most part, I don't really bother in a car like this. I just kind of leave it in drive and let it do its thing. And the acceleration is very good, just north of 200 combined horsepower in the Camry SE Hybrid, between the gasoline engine and the electric motors. And it just goes about its business and does its thing. Toyota is kind of the king of the hybrids at this point, and that's where the market wants to be right now. I feel like, you know, I've got my finger pretty well on the pulse of the car market in Southern California anyway, and hybrids are the hot ticket right now. The EV market has really cooled down. People aren't so interested in the full electric cars. They're more interested in the gas electric hybrids, and you know, the Toyota Camry hybrid may seem to be an obvious choice, but don't overlook it. You know, I mean, some people think, I don't want a Camry because it doesn't drive very good. I get that. But, and historically, there, you know, you can make the argument that was definitely true. But if you get the SE, it drives all right, man. You should try it. You should check it out. It's worth a look. The Accord hybrid is a more recent design, so it does feel more modern, but somehow I wouldn't, you know, they're pretty closely matched, I think. I think it depends on really what kind of a deal you could work. Which one, if a Honda dealer or a Toyota dealer, you know, is going to be more flexible when it comes to the pricing at this point. It might come down to that. I might pay a little more for the Honda just because it is a newer design, so it may retain its resale value a little better than this, but you never know. Let's see if we can pass. Oh, plenty of passing power. No trouble whatsoever. Very responsive. And just takes a set, very smooth through the corner. So funny, man. A Camry that's this nice to drive. Camry hybrid. A hybrid. I've driven the newest version of the Prius and it's fantastic too, but the one main drawback of the new Prius versus older ones is I do feel like they made it smaller. And there's definitely some benefits to that. I think it benefits the overall look of the car, and it probably does benefit how the car drives, because the new Prius drives shockingly well, and smaller exterior dimensions often do lead to better driving dynamics just because there's less mass to control for the suspension, and less mass to propel and stop for the engine and the brakes, and less mass to keep track of for the driver. But the passenger room and the cargo room suffered a little bit probably compared to old Priuses. But that's where the Camry hybrid comes in, baby. If you need a little bit more passenger room or a little bit bigger of a trunk, the Prius might still have more cargo room than this one because it's got a hatch. But this is like the Uber driver dream car right here. The king of the Ubers. The Toyota Camry hybrid. Apex Uber. It's funny to drive a Camry and actually want to push it, because normally it's not a rewarding experience, but this one's, you know, it's not the sportiest thing in the world, but it really composes itself in a very smooth and predictable manner. And there's a level of competence here that you just didn't get in older Camrys as far as the chassis is concerned. and there is a level of acceleration, even uphill, that is a little bit better, again, than you would expect from a Camry hybrid. It's rated at like 204 horsepower, and it feels like it. That rating does not feel overblown at all. That's an accurate number for this car. I'm very impressed. I am very impressed with the Camry hybrid as far as driving. The Camry SE hybrid, I should say. Actually, I haven't driven the regular one, but they do legitimately change some hardware on the SE models. It's not just like, you know, a black grille and bigger wheels. It's got different shocks. It's got a strut tower brace. Even the turning radius is slightly wider, not by much, only by a few inches, but you know, the steering and the suspension are a little bit different in this car, and it feels great. So if you get the chance to drive one, I highly recommend it. If you get the chance to buy one at a decent price, I say go for it. I think it's a good car to buy and keep for the long term for all of the standard Toyota reasons. I have done a full review of it that you can watch. There'll be a link to that in the description and probably in the comments. And if you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment. And as always, like and subscribe and blah, 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 blah. And always drive safely. Bye-bye.